It's extremely bizarre to think about how we actually talk. Well, it seems really natural because I'm doing it without thinking, but that doesn't mean that in any way it becomes natural or easier than many of the other phenomena we know. Indeed, it is natural, and that's the reason it takes place quite effortlessly by us. But it's quite remarkable if we think back and think about what all of these mean. And what all of these mean is this: imagine that now I'll take you all through a thought experiment. Imagine that you're in a big ocean, and in that ocean is some kind of a dolphin or something. And what you want to do is you want to hunt down a shoal of fish which is swimming. And it's extremely hard to do so because fish are tiny and are extremely, they can navigate extremely easily through all of the water. Hence, it requires, and what eating a couple of fish won't satisfy you. You want the entire shoal, and you can't do it alone. You need to team up with the other dolphins and coordinate in an extremely nice manner to surround the shoal of fish. And how will you do that? One nice way you could do it is by planning ahead of time what you guys will do. Like stand here, but the fish behave in unpredictable ways. The shoal of fish maybe they could collectively swim in some other direction or something, and the plan that you've made initially to surround them all maybe doesn't work. Maybe you miscalculated. You thought they'll go this way, but they're going this way. So that time, at that instant, you need to make certain decisions and communicate them effectively. If you got a brilliant idea, but you're not able to convey it over, that idea is of no use because you can't be the only person executing that idea. You need cooperation. So what do you do? What you do is you decide beforehand not the entire plan itself, but certain code signals which correspond to the meaning of the plan. What does this mean? You say that if I flap the water twice, you'll get a kind of a push. You'll feel a push, and if I flap it twice, you make it out that you need to go to the right, thrice then the left, and so on. All of the directions you can go in is just up, down, front, back, and right, left. We're living in three dimensions. So each of these corresponds to a unique number of codes. Like, for instance, I'll flap twice, or I'll flap once, wait for a while, and then flap next, and so on. Like, you kind of encode information in different forms, and by cleverly using those signals, you can in fact dynamically act according to the movement of the fish. And this is indeed a nice plan that without deciding what you're going to do beforehand itself, you create some kind of an action which corresponds to some other action. Like the flapping corresponds to actually going this way or that way. And these dolphins seem extremely clever because how could they make up such a plan like this? But that's what we do when you're talking. We're telling someone to go to the right, but you're actually flapping the air sometimes. And how can you flap air? Well, we're in an entire ocean of air. And what happens is we have a kind of a membrane over here, and then we flap it like this, so that the air gets flapped, and then that flaps like the air molecules nearby, and so on. And those kind of waves spread out, just like the water waves. Many people actually think that these waves are somehow different than the water waves, but it's the same wave. You're simply pushing the air around you, and that pushes the surrounding air, and so on, that it spreads out. And by using this, you're actually corresponding to a certain number of flaps, some specific action like go here or go there. And we in fact do it, and not just we, all other kinds of animals do it. Pigs are especially, like, they have complicated codes which is called language. And now it actually appears that what shapes a language, like why, like it's called like they say etymology, like where this word came from, or linguistics, how do languages form and how do words form. They are actually in fact dependent on things like density of air and stuff. We actually don't think this way, but that's the way it is. Which kind of codes are much more efficient? For instance, in water, the ocean is a little bit thicker, and hence you need to push more strongly. Like the push has to be more strong, but you could communicate much better because it's much more thick, so the pushes are much more effective, and so on. Maybe if we were living in the oceans, a whole new variety of words would be developed. Maybe some other languages would be biased, like some other languages would be favored than this, simply because maybe this contains a high pitch and maybe that would be too much in the ocean or something.